there's really no secret or secret formula in like balancing everything. I don't believe in balance. I just prioritize and really spend time reflecting on where I am in life and factoring everything, the ages of my children, where I am personally, spiritually, and I just kind of take on the best next step.
Hi everyone, this is Raina Carrillo with Purpose and Passion. I want you to go follow Luxe Media Studios, and I want you to definitely give a like, a comment, and subscribe, which is so important. Well, Happy New Year. Man, it is 2024, and it is all about being positive, gratitude, and all of the above. Well, today I have Judy Stella, and her business is Stella Health Insurance Agency. And I'm really excited to have Stella here because she is a gem in the community and she is so classy. I love, that's why I got classy today. They're like, where's Raina's hoodie at? Not today. Miss Stella's here. So thank you so much for gracing Purpose and Passion on Luxe Media Studios. And I'm just really, really excited that you're here. And I can't wait for you to speak your story and your testimony right here to the viewers.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, I'm very excited to be with you here today, Raina, and your team at Luxe Media Studios. So thank you guys for the support today. I'm just excited to be here, and I appreciate your comment about, setting me to be a classy lady. I do enjoy that and take a lot of pride. But don't forget, I'm also from the neighborhood.
Oh, yes, I
know. Born and raised in Lenox, so we're neighbors.
Whoa.
So I'm very proud of my roots. So thank you for having me here today.
I'm excited. Thank you for my birthday gift.
You're
really
welcome.
meant a lot to me.
Yes.
I'm like, oh my God, thank you.
Yes.
Well, take the viewers down memory lane. Where are your family from? Where were you born and raised, and how was your childhood where you grew up?
All right. Well, I was born and raised here in Lenox, which is like a nearby neighborhood. I mean, I don't even know. We're not a city. We're not our own entity, but we're just unincorporated. Yes. You're very familiar with that. It's home. I don't get to spend as much time there anymore. Obviously, I have a family now and children, but I was born and raised there. And I just have very fond memories alongside with some not so fond memories.
Yes.
I grew up in a single parent household. I was raised by my mother until much later when she, brought in a gentleman who would be my stepdad.
Yes.
But I have 3 younger siblings, and it was just my mom and I for a while, And long story short, because I know we don't have a lot of time, but, my mom came from a lot of poverty herself, a lot of trauma. Obviously, I learned a little bit about her history as the years went by. And so a lot of it was experienced by me too, a lot of the verbal, emotional, physical abuse I had to endure with my mother. I actually write about it in my upcoming book that's going to be released this spring. And so I'm excited to share that. I'm actually have a January 31st deadline to get the last couple of chapters in there and send it over to my publishing company so they can take it to the next phase for the editing and the cover design and everything else. But I actually start my book. Chapter 1, I'll give you guys a little preview on it. Just for you, Raina, and your followers and your community. And I titled it A Place Called Home. And it actually is a very sweet chapter because I describe my earliest memory at 5 years old.
Yes.
And it's walking down Lenox Boulevard with my mom trying to stay up to pace with her, like wait for me. And she's hurrying me to go, hurry up, And I just get to describe the community.
That's
It's
beautiful.
predominantly Latino
Yes.
families, first generation immigrants that leave their home countries,
To
that
come
come
here.
here for a better place, better opportunities, a better future. And that
Yes.
was my mother and I's story. She came here with no family, no friends, um, slept, in the street for a few days, and two strangers offered her
Yes.
some help and support. And then she was able to get on her feet and secure like a little bedroom. And then I came along, and we went through so much together. And that's really like a good 50% of the book,
Yes.
is sharing my experiences and stories with my mother. They are not all horrible, you
Yes, of
know
course. Uh-huh.
I, as an adult and becoming a mother myself, and just kind of going through my own healing journey, like, I recognize so many strengths of my
Mm-hmm.
mother.
Yes.
And at the same time, when you're going through a healing journey, you allow yourself through to go through the pain and the suffering,
Yes.
and identifying and recognizing and acknowledging like those pain points in your life.
How did you go through that healing journey? Was it like a class you took or a person
You know
that you
what?
work with?
No, no, it's not a just a one-time event or a
Mm-hmm.
one-time practice. It's been through different methods. It's been through going to therapy,
Okay.
finding a mental health therapist who is trained in trauma, because I think that's very
Oh, yes,
unique.
yes,
You
yes.
know, um, it's been through the kindness of strangers, and that's kind of like an ongoing, reoccurring theme
Yes.
throughout the book, where I share like a very painful, traumatic incident. And then I think that's probably like the biggest insight or highlight that I gained from writing the book is I've always been grateful for the individuals who were there for me, who added
Yes.
value, who believed in me and supported me, but also who were just like angels.
I know what you mean. I always tell people, like, I call them earth angels because
Yes.
they're humans, but then in your eyes, whether you're a child or an adult, you look at them as angels. You know what I mean? They're
Mm-hmm.
human earth angels, and it's like, wow, like you blessed me with this opportunity, or you blessed my family when we didn't have nothing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So that is
absolutely.
wow. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
So my goodness, you got a book coming
I
out. Wow, a
do.
place called home.
Well, that's chapter one. The book title itself, it's like I'm getting like, okay, Judy, you got to figure it out, narrow it
Oh, okay, okay, okay,
down.
okay,
So it's a
okay. Okay.
memoir, and it's a short one, and it's really like the beginning. I mean, there's a couple of chapters that I do share a little bit of like marriage, and then there's going to be a chapter on motherhood, and then the final chapter that kind of brings full circle to a
Mm-hmm.
lot of like the questions and the
Yes.
unknowns of like my life story, and like what I call one of the greatest miracles that I've
Yes.
experienced recently in my life.
Yeah.
So of course, like, you wish you could write like a lot more, but
Yeah.
you have to kind of pace yourself, and I think this is more like the beginning, like understanding little Judy.
Wow. Are you gonna do like an event? I can't think of the name, but like when you have your event of
like
throwing a party
like a
with the
book launch
yes,
or
there you go.
book
Yes, yeah,
signing.
book signing, a book launch.
Yes, actually, I was just talking to my writing coach, Davina, who's been amazing, and it's through her company, Alegria Publishing, where she started offering these opportunities
Yes.
for individuals who want to share their story. And so she
Yes.
offers like that support and that encouragement and that structure. And I said, you know what, Davina, I think one of the other biggest gains from going through this process is just like my heart is filled with so much gratitude
Yeah, which is
and
so important.
joy,
Yes.
and I'm just so grateful. And people, when they read the book, they're like, Judy, but you went through some really horrendous things.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, but like, I am here. I
Yes.
have my health.
Yes.
I've been able to get support for my mental health.
Mm-hmm.
My quality of life is beautiful. Like, it's
Yes.
like
For me, you have the American dream.
thank
Yeah, your
you.
house is beyond beautiful.
Thank
Just
you.
like you. You're beyond
Oh,
beautiful.
thank you. Thank you. And I'm so grateful for all of that, the external, right? Like many of us, like we want the nice car and the beautiful
Yes.
home and this financial security. And all of that is very important,
Yes.
But then there's more, right? It's
Yeah,
like
that internal stuff,
the
right?
internal stuff, the
Mm-hmm.
peace, the happiness, the resilience, the grace, the forgiveness, the healing.
Yes.
I mean, there's so much. And, I share openly about just my experience with like depression and postpartum
Yes.
depression and anxiety and post-traumatic stress disorder. Like all of that was so real for me,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, since you're talking about like, depression, things of that, did you experience depression in your childhood or your
Mhm.
teenage years? And the reason why I ask is because when I reflect, sharing my story of like how did running for mayor come about.
Mhm.
And I remember telling people like I was 15 years old in front of Mayor Dorn and Ronald Chief Banks at the time of Inglewood, letting them know about police brutality. And out of nowhere, I just said, I'm going to run for mayor of Inglewood one day. And I was 15, at risk youth, little cholita, everything, right?
Sure, yeah.
But sometimes I reflect back and say, God, how would I say something like that when I was creating obituaries in junior high?
Mhm.
Like I knew I wasn't going to make it to 18 with the lifestyle I chose.
Mhm.
And so I want to know, like, did you go through depression in your teenage years or your childhood
Mhm.
years? Did you go through any of that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And as I'm writing the book, there's a cute chapter in there where I talk about my first self-help book.
Wow. Did you
And
do journaling? Because I used to
did
do.
I did not,
I did have
that's
so many
another.
old stuff in my mom's
Oh,
garage.
I wish I would have kept with it. I think there was a time where I started, and then I remember a time where I was cleaning out my closet and I had like this burgundy small journal with a little flap. And I remember
Yes.
looking at it and looking through it. And I had written some stuff, and then I
Yes.
tossed it, and then I never wrote again.
That was me. Yeah, I think in the 11th or 12th grade, I just stopped writing out of
Yeah.
nowhere.
Yeah. And so going back to that first self-help book, I I jokingly share this, but I think it's so true. Like my first self-help book was, I don't know if you remember that children's book, Alexander and the Horrible, Terrible, No Good, Very Bad Day.
Yes.
I remember being like 6 years old and my first grade teacher reading it to the class. And then after
Yes.
that, that's all I wanted to read. I would read it
Yes.
over
Because you
and over
gravitated to
again.
it.
And I think for me it was self-help because at that time, like home and my reality
Mm-hmm.
was that. It was like every day
Yes.
it was like a horrible, terrible, no good, very bad day. We never
Yes.
knew what, if mom was gonna be angry and yell at us or punish us harshly. And so I think I identified with him and it made
Mm-hmm.
me feel like I wasn't alone. Like, okay, I'm not the only one
Yes.
having a
Yes.
terrible, horrible,
Yes.
bad day. And so, I mean, it's cute now, but it was my reality then.
Yes.
And then I do have another memory about, fourth grade, fifth grade of, I don't know if for my birthday or for Christmas, I got a little cute orange bunny lunchbox. And I remember taking it, to school with like some lunch sandwich or fruit and then bringing it back. And then I didn't understand it then, but I remember
Yes.
like just kind of tucking it under my bed. And I
Mm-hmm.
knew there was leftover lunch there and
Yes.
like not throwing it out, not cleaning it, not putting it in the kitchen.
Yes.
And I remember just kind of like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow.
Yes.
And I don't know how long it took for me to finally say, okay, let me take it out,
And it was
throw it
already.
out. Yes, it
Yes.
was disgusting.
Yeah.
And I look back, and because now I recognize the signs or the symptoms of when I am going through a wave of depression.
Man, yes.
So it's
I
like,
can relate.
right? Like you
Yeah.
lose interest, like you don't, it takes longer to kind of get to your task or things, like you move
Yes.
slower, like brain fog, like
Unmotivated.
motivation.
Don't want to pull yourself
Don't
out the bed sometimes.
exactly.
Goodness.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that was it. That was like my earliest kind of memory. I didn't know it then I didn't have a name for
Yes.
it, a label for it. But as I look back and I was like, oh, that was depression. Like I was
Yes.
this 9, 10-year-old little girl. Like I couldn't do like a simple task.
Yeah.
And that of course has happened on and off throughout my
Mm-hmm.
years. And I think it's hard for people to see that, right? Like, what do
Yes.
you mean you're depressed? Or like, you don't look depressed. And
Yes.
because, some people would say like I'm high functioning,
Yes. Just like when people say I'm a high functioning alcoholic.
Mhm.
Like you don't
still,
look like an alcoholic, even though you smell like it at work, but it's like
Mhm.
you don't look like an alcoholic because
Yeah.
you're still functioning,
Yeah.
going to work and looking normal,
Right.
right?
Right.
But it's interesting. You can never judge a book by its cover.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
So it's there. And I share because I think, like you said earlier, everyone sees the peak of the iceberg and they see a very
Yes.
polished, educated, successful
Yes.
Judy.
Yes.
But there's so much more
Yes.
underneath, and I'm always been like an open book or been vulnerable or just transparent because I think it's so
Yes.
important that we share our stories. Of course, everybody
agree.
has their own,
Struggles.
struggles
And how they deal with
and
it, right?
adversities. And I think it's so important as young, Latina women, when we get to a place where we are able to pay it forward, where we reach that level of self-actualization,
Yes.
where we feel comfortable in our own skin, where we're not, battling, dealing with limiting beliefs of low self-worth. Like, I mean, it's just so liberating,
Yes.
right? When we reach a level of like, not that we're don't experience any further challenges in our future, because that's just part of life.
But we know how to deal with it a little bit better than we did 10 years ago.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. So I think it's like growth and wisdom, right?
Absolutely.
Growth and wisdom.
Yes.
Well, I'm very proud of you because the book, you just shocked me right now. I had no idea. I had no idea. But I felt special. I'm like, oh my God, this is 2024. We're in January and bam,
Yeah.
you just hit us with a good explosion, right?
Thank you.
Because and I want you, in the near future to, kind of guide me because I've always wanted to write a book myself. I just never had the access or the resources to do so,
Of course.
And I believe your book because, I'm a very spiritual person.
Sure.
And the first thing that's coming, within my spirit is the fact that your book is going to help people.
Yeah.
It's going to inspire people. It's going to
Thank
motivate them. So I can't wait to be able to go to your book launch because you need one.
Yes,
I mean,
thank
just
you.
for the sisterhood. You know
Thank
what I
you.
mean?
No,
Like,
absolutely.
Just
You
for
don't-
the sisterhood, for the family, for the friends,
Yeah. And what I was going to share earlier, and we, we're having such an amazing conversation, is one of the things I shared with Davina, who's been guiding me and supporting me through this journey. I said, I want my first book launch, if possible, and book signing. I was like, I need to go back to Lenox Library.
Oh my gosh, I will volunteer for free. Yeah, whatever you
I was
need.
like,
Yes.
it's just so important to
Oh
me,
my gosh.
that, if it was like the ideal,
That's amazing.
vision for me is like, I love to have past teachers,
Yes.
counselors, just people that I grew up with. I just feel like Lenox is such a unique community that
It is.
hardly ever gets any
Recognition.
recognition.
Because it's always in the shadows of Inglewood. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so we need, I'm supporting because
Thank you.
everybody knows, like, I'm not embarrassed to talk
Yeah.
about my dad and my uncle. They're from
Yeah.
Lenox 13.
Yeah.
So, I grew up in my young years at Lenox Park.
Mm-hmm. So
You
did
know,
I talk about Lenox
yes,
Park?
and like the Inglewood Ave,
Yeah.
walking to the liquor store,
Yeah.
eating tacos, burgers. And so I just want you to know that I am willing to volunteer.
you.
I'm
I
willing
appreciate it.
to get the Lenox community that I know to come out and support and
Yeah.
purchase a book, bring their kids to be motivated so you can share your
Yes.
story with the kids.
Absolutely.
And so, like I said, I would love to volunteer and help you and invite people because I think
Yeah.
this is important, especially you coming back to your roots of your
Yeah.
community and doing something so positive to inspire others.
That's exactly. And, I have more. Like, my children are still
Yes.
small. So I do, I am very intentional and purposeful and mindful,
Yes, you are.
how I navigate. Obviously, I'm still, aside from a mother and a wife and a daughter and a sister and a friend, because
Yes.
you know very well, Raina, like we wear
Yes.
so many hats, we juggle a lot of
Yes.
responsibilities. And so, for me, there's really no secret or secret formula in like balancing everything. I don't believe in balance. I just
Yeah.
prioritize and really spend time reflecting on where I am in life and factoring everything, the ages of my children, where I am personally, spiritually, and I just
Yes.
kind of take on the best next step. And so there's a lot of things. Once my children get a little older, there's a lot of things that I'd love to do. I've talked about and envision having like a community resource center
Mhm.
in Lenox where it's
That'll be
like a one-stop
amazing.
shop where we can provide parenting classes, gang intervention,
Yes.
mental health. I would love to have some sort of like leadership club for young boys and
Yes.
girls. I mean, there's with the great
Yes.
vision comes a great sacrifice and a lot of hard work. So I'm being mindful of when I launch that because obviously I have a responsibility to my family and my
Yes, of
small
course.
children. But it's in the future,
Yes.
just like this book has been. I'll share a cool story. I was looking through my Keepsake box a few months ago, and I came across this invitation and a little name badge with a blue ribbon and a
Yes.
gold little bear. And the invitation was an invitation for for Lenox Middle School at the school's library
Yes.
for a program that they had called WOW, Wonders of Writing.
Wow.
I mean, I
Wonders
didn't
of writing. Wow. What? Dang,
I
okay.
didn't really remember it, but I'm looking through my Keepsake box, and it must have been something so impactful and so important to
Yes,
me
that you saved it.
that I saved it and I submitted a piece of writing. I wish I would have kept that as well,
Yes.
but I couldn't find it. And it was the invitation and a name badge with the ribbon. It had my maiden name. It had Judy Serratos on it, and a blue ribbon with a gold little bear holding a book, and it says future author.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Believing Before Seeing, a new bestseller by Candace Barr. Order your copy today.
Talking about manifesting, not even know you manifesting.
Right?
Wow.
And that's what it was. And I was like,
Wow.
oh my gosh. And it was like,
Future writer. Oh my God.
Isn't that amazing?
That's magical.
That's
okay?
magical.
That is
I
magical.
agree.
That is magical. Well, I want you to tell the viewers how did Stella Health Insurance Agency come about?
oh, that's a great story
Yes,
too, because
I
I'm
wanna know.
excited. So Stella Health Insurance Agency. So my married name is Judy Stella. And so it's my husband's last name. And so a few years ago, about 11 years ago, or almost 12 years ago, he comes to me. We were living in our first home in Downey. He says, I enjoy what I'm doing. He was a health insurance broker. And he says, but I'm just not happy where I am, the organization. There's just things that are not aligned and they're not aligned with my core values. And what do you think if I resign and start my own agency, my own company? And I looked at him and said, yeah, that sounds great. And, at the time, like we had friends like, Judy, aren't you like worried? Aren't you scared? You guys just bought your first home, like getting married, like he's not going to have a salary. And I said, no, I'm not worried. And it just never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
So I was very supportive from the very beginning. And it was humble beginnings. We would meet with a very small team of like 3 to 5 agents in our family room. And I would lay out a little continental breakfast. And I would just hear my husband, in our living room doing a training from our home.
Wow.
And at that time I was a psychiatric social worker for a school district here in Los Angeles and working in inner city communities, providing mental health services. And I was very happy with that. And we got married, had our 2 small children. It was important for both of us. And I'm so grateful for my husband that we had the opportunity for me to stay home for almost 5 years to be with the
that's
babies
beautiful.
when they were
Yes.
small. And then, I was ready to come back to the workforce. And I told my husband, like, hey, like, like I've enjoyed this time. I'm grateful, but I'm feeling a little burned out. I was dealing with some postpartum depression.
Yes. That's real.
I needed to connect back to some sort of like professional career identity again. I felt like that was lacking at that time. And he said, well, why don't you join the agency? Why don't you join the family business? And I said, oh, no. I said, I'm not a salesperson, And he's like, no. Like, let's look beyond and the
because
sales.
it's not sales, it's educating, empowering, teaching awareness. Yeah.
And now, like almost 7 years in it, like I would encourage people to not run away from the word sales. Like, it's not a bad thing. Now I embrace it. But at the time I was very like, no, that's not me. And so he reframed it and he explained to me what we did at the organization. And it was really aligned to what, as a social worker,
yes,
we educate, we inform, we're a resource, we are advocates. So it was really neat. So I made a very quick decision a month before a busy season in October. And I said, okay, count me in. So very quickly, I had already gotten licensed prior to that, but never really used it. And so I did it. And I told him, he has a different version of the story, but I'll share mine. And if he ever wants to come and share his version with you,
Mr.
Raina,
Stella in the building. Coming.
you can have him. But how I remember it, I got in and I wasn't really good at it in the beginning.
Yes.
And I was struggling. And he said, Judy, like, you're so resourceful. Do what you do best. So I picked up a book on sales and I read it within like 5 days. And after that, I would toot my own horn. I just started going to appointments and just closing every appointment.
Do you still have that book?
I do. I'll share it. Am I allowed to share it? I mean,
yeah, of course. Yeah, for me too.
Oh, okay. It's the Little Red Book of Sales by Jeffrey Gittimore. I follow him. He has a podcast and I follow him. And I have lots of books on my website. I'll share it. But I have tons of books that I've read throughout. But that was my first one.
Yes.
And I just needed some tweaking. I just didn't have that sales background. And so that's why I wasn't being very successful in the beginning. Yeah. And then after that, I told my husband, like, I'm ready. I said, but I don't want to be treated differently. I don't want any favors. Because I'm your wife or I'm the co-owner of the business. Like, I want to start from the beginning. And that's exactly what he encouraged me to do. So I was out in the field. I was doing community research events.
Nice.
I was working with doctors, with providers that wanted to grow their business, and so it was a partnership. I started doing business development. And so my role has gone from broker, agent, independent agent to various other positions. Currently, I'm the VP of Human Capital.
Yes.
So it's kind of like a new, modern title for someone who's responsible for training and developing and equipping everyone in their team. From not just like the sales training, the product knowledge and mastery, but also the interpersonal communication skills. We're actually launching a mastermind the first week of February for our whole team on the 16 laws of communication by John Maxwell, because I don't just want our team members. Of course, I want them to be successful. I want them to have a thriving book of business, to reach their financial goals and whatever that looks like for every individual. But I want to equip them with other soft skills, which is important too, because it really helps funnel that business. And so that's what I'm responsible for. And this last 2023, it has been just a learning curve for me, right? Because it's something new. I've never done it before. It's not very popular, in a lot of organizations. It's more of a new thing. And so it's been interesting in me reading books and listening to podcasts and, learning from our business coach and joining my husband on this major investment that we've done in the last 8 months, which is we want to 10x our business, you know.
Yes, and 10X was Grant Cardone.
Mm-hmm.
So Grant Cardone has like what kind of program to take your business to the next level?
So he partnered with the gentleman Brandon Dawson
Mhm.
and his wife Natalie Dawson, and they created Cardone Ventures.
Okay.
And so it's obviously with Grant Cardone
Mhm.
and Brandon Dawson, and they created, Cardone Ventures, and it's really a program to help small businesses take their next their business to the next level. So, what my husband and I identified is like, yes, we're very intelligent individuals, and we've been very successful in growing our business, to 3 million revenue a year.
Mhm.
But as much as we're learning and growing, we're always reading books, we're always, listening to podcasts, trying to tap into other business, like-minded folks. But we reached a lid. And so in order for us to double, triple our business, we were humble enough to recognize like we need more.
Yes. No. I understand, because you've been in business how long?
10 years, a little over 10 years.
Okay. So even if you hit the mark of the 3 million, it's a blessing.
Yeah, and it's very grateful.
But it's so crazy because it's like sometimes like when you get to what your goal is and you surpass it, and you kind of like you're stuck, right? And you're like, I want to figure out how can I get to the 4 million, the 5, the 10 million, right? Like you're inspiring me so many levels that I'm really recognizing that I have been sleeping on you. Literally. I'm not like, because like serious.
I've been recruiting you, Raina.
Yes. I've been sleeping on, like literally sleeping on you, because I know I can do my own business with the life insurance and rollovers, and I can do what you're doing as well, and put both
the health
to
insurance.
help. Yes, on the health insurance to help both.
Yeah.
And what you're giving us is nuggets for those individuals out there that are with that 1099. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That they're just working on their, their own business, whether it's small or big. But you're educating us right now on purpose and passion on how to take yourself to the next level.
Absolutely.
Because I had no idea about this, because I know that you've been a part of these leadership programs, right? With like authors. I'm talking about like authors, right?
John Maxwell.
Yes. And I'm just like, wow, like I've been sleeping on you, literally sleeping on you, literally.
Yeah.
Where I'm going to be like, okay, because, it's a new year and there's things that I want to do to take my life insurance business to the next level. Yeah. So obviously I'm going to have to sit down with you on a day that you're open.
I'm happy to talk to you, to anyone. Yes. And that's really the other important part of Stella Agency that I feel very passionate about. It's, we have these goals, but, sometimes people think it's just that number, right? And that's a part of it. Like people go into business to have a thriving business, with their team, with their systems, with their operations, with their marketing, with all the facets that make a business, right? Yes. But for me, because I came from such humble beginnings, like the second purpose to our business is like, how do we recruit with intention, right? And purpose, and how do we get the right people to join us in our mission, in our purpose, and essentially making and changing their lives as well. I mean, we've had number of agents that come that do a career change, that are single mothers, that want that financial security, or they want to be their own boss, all that stuff. And you know what it's like to start your own business. It's not easy.
Heck no. And it's still not easy.
It's not easy. I mean,
my twins are 13. So 12 years of struggle, but I never give up, because I know it's something that people need, because I'm tired of going to go see GoFundMe or somebody saying, I need to, do food plates to bury a loved one. It's like we have a resource for you. Right. And soon in the near future, for our, Latino people that are immigrants, that have lived here long enough, that has a I-10 number, I believe. Soon,
Yeah.
actually, no, they have life insurance now for them.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah, they
See?
have it now.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a resource out there to, educate our society, our community.
Yeah.
And it works hand in hand, And so it's just like I'm blown away, because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to get a day, an hour, with
Yeah,
you,
I'm
a
happy to
session
talk to you.
with you. And then also I would like, to be a fly on the wall that day when you do your training for that 12 step thing,
Okay.
where I can just come, and just
Yeah.
learn from myself, sit there
Absolutely.
and just, because I think this year I'm really like, I feel like I want to be full throttle in my business. You know what I mean? I want to make, $10,000 a month. It sounds crazy to people that make, $5,000 a month and they're at a cap, but I want to make $10,000 a month starting off. And once I hit that goal, then I want to make $20,000 a month,
Absolutely.
And so I just think, just sitting down with you, because you're a successful woman in your own right, and being able to utilize you as, as a resource. Because I'm telling you, I've been sleeping on you all this time.
It's been how many years since we were with Anel?
Woo! Past 5 years for sure.
At least,
Yeah, past
before
5
the
years.
pandemic.
Yes, past 5 years for sure.
Yeah.
And so, so then now that you have your successful business and you're taking it to the next level, what is your purpose and passion?
Oh, I have so many. Obviously living a life that's aligned with my core values.
Yes.
Because then I feel fulfilled. I feel gratitude.
Yes.
I think adding value to others. I think what brings me joy, John Maxwell, who's been an incredible mentor, and inspires me and has been like a pseudo father to me through, attending his conferences and book clubs. And, a few years ago, I went to Florida to become John Maxwell certified trainer and coach, because he just had that impact on me.
Yes.
And so, he asked, like, what makes your heart sing? And so I feel the most joy and like when I'm bringing value, when I'm paying it forward, when I'm supporting someone, when I'm encouraging someone.
Like just giving back.
Yes, like it is like if I have to attribute my success on one thing, it's to all those individuals who just showered me with kindness, that added value to me, that took their time to ask me questions, to hear me out, to support me and encourage me. Like, that's why when people say, like, Judy, like, you need to do this and you need to charge for this and you need to charge for that, I recognized very early on that just didn't sit well with me in my core. There's a time and place to charge, to do that, but when it comes to like this, like I just could never do it. And nothing for those that do. Wonderful. If it's aligned with you. But because of the gratitude that I feel because of strangers, teachers, counselors, friends, who did that, Miss Sopa, my fifth grade teacher, she's one of the people that I just love the most. And I was so sad when I started looking for her and learned that she had passed away already. Like, she didn't smile at me. I still have a lot of her notes, handwritten notes on my vision board.
Wow.
Because she meant so much to me. And when I learned that she passed, like I took up like 2 therapy sessions to talk about my grief and the loss and the sadness and what she meant for me. So for me, I just feel like when I talk to people, when I get invited to events, like I always ask, like, are you going to have like a community event where the speakers can connect with the audience, like a more one-on-one? Because that part, like me being up on stage and speaking is a part of it.
But you're more of like, you like intimate.
I do.
More intimate because it's,
I do. I like someone tell me like, I have this and I just love to listen. Because without them realizing, me listening to them, like maybe they don't see it at that moment, like, oh, like I gained something from it, or this was very helpful. But years down the road, or maybe months, even you will remember, like, gosh, I remember that one time I went to this conference and I met this lady and her name was Judy, and I told her about this and she'd listen, and I may say something. I may recommend a book, or I say, have you listened to this podcast? Or I might just offer some words of encouragement. But I believe in my heart that that simple act of kindness goes way further than some other things, you know?
Wow.
Yeah, so that's I feel like one of my passion and purposes.
Wow, that is wonderful. Let me tell you, before we leave Purpose and Passion, is there anything that you want to share with the viewers before I have you do your shout outs and sharing your social media?
Thank you. You know, just trust in yourself, trust in your ability. You know, these next few words might not fully resonate with you, or they might not feel real, you know, but in your core, there is tremendous self-worth. And I believe that every human being born on this planet, on this earth, comes and is born with like dignity and self-worth, you know, and it's through our home environment, our family dynamics, life experiences, messages we hear, the way we're treated, that it will chip away many times. I know that was my case. And if that's your case, just know that there's different ways of healing those wounds, of healing that pain, and bringing in that purpose and joy back into your life. I think it's okay and normal to feel discouraged at times.
Yes.
You know, it's part of being human. And one of the things that I work with my children is truly embracing them and showing them that it's perfectly okay to just be human. That means being able to feel, experience, and embrace a wide range of emotions, and based on what things or life experience happened to us, like building resiliency. And resiliency is very different than trying to and putting a face of wanting to be strong, you know, because I think oftentimes that can be detrimental to us as well. So resiliency, and obviously for me, faith, you know, it's something that's really carried me on my path. And just, you know, I hope these words are encouraging to all of you. And I hope to have an opportunity to connect with many of you in the future.
Yes, thank you. So how can our viewers find you on social media?
On social media. Well, I do have my favorite. I have Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram, of course. But I'm more active on my Instagram. It's just an easier social media for me. And it's at Judy Stella, JudyStella. And it's open, so you don't have to request me. I just share a lot about my personal, professional life. I share a little bit about family and work, and I'll be sharing a lot about my upcoming book. Yay. And I hope it's a support system and inspiration for you.
Man, sure. Judy Stella in the building.
Thank you, Raina. You're amazing. I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you too. Well, thank you for, gracing Purpose and Passion with Luxe Media Studio. So this is Raina and Miss Judy signing out. Peace.
Thank you.